Hi friends, my name is Amber. This is a lovely yarn podcast. Welcome. I am coming to you on Tuesday, October 25th from the rolling hills of Western Pennsylvania, where I have to say it has been absolutely gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. Can I say that enough? This fall, this October has been stunning. I don't remember such a beautiful fall in a very long time. And I don't know if it's because we had so much rain in August and also September that I feel like the leaves are the changed leaves, the beautiful different colored leaves are staying on the trees so much longer. It's just been gorgeous. I've really enjoyed this month. So I have a lot to talk about today, so I'm just going to go ahead and get started. I'm also going to be picking a giveaway winner at the end of this episode for the stitch marker set and the needle keeper, the little wood needle keeper from Laura of Back Porch Fiber Co. So stick around to see who that winner is. And actually what I'll do is I will just notify the winner. I will notify the winner by commenting on their comment in the last episode where I actually spoke about the giveaway. Okay, so let's get started. I have been so busy. It's been good busy. It's been lots of homemaking, which I absolutely love. That is just it's just what I love to do. It's what I love to do. As you can see, my spinning wheel is up here to my right. And the reason this is upstairs, I'm actually filming from my bedroom, which is where I film most of my episodes from. And my husband has been working remotely for several years, but he recently started a new job back in the spring, and it's a hybrid position, which means he's at home most of the time, but he does go out into the field and work. But his office space was basically just a corner in my craft room, and I didn't even really craft down there because it is in the basement. I like to be upstairs. It was just a very pretty storage room, and so I thought, it was cluttered for him. It was very feminine looking. He does his Zoom meetings and stuff, and it was just like, I thought, this is stupid. I'm not using this room the way that he could be using it. So I completely pulled all my craft stuff out, except I have 2 closets in that room, and so I left the stuff in there, and I kind of did some rearranging so that I could make things work better. And then I moved another bookcase. Actually, this one that's behind me, I already had a bookcase on that side of my bedroom that had all of my nice yarn. So I had that, and then I moved this bookcase up, which was down in that room of mine, and it now has, like, this is all my fingering weight sock yarn. Has my books. There's some yarn there, down there. There's books. Like, it's just, so now it's in my bedroom. So I rearranged our bedroom. I pulled all my craft stuff out. So Brad has a very nice, uncluttered office space now that he can make his own, which he's totally deserving of. He works very hard to provide for our family, and I'm super appreciative of it. And so I'm excited that he can have that space. So yeah, and just garden cleanup in the fall. We had a wonderful weekend this past weekend. So Brad and I pulled out all of our plants and stuff that weren't perennial, and we are waiting on our rye seed to come. We always plant rye because it helps the soil over the winter and then the spring, and it also keeps weeds down. So yeah, that hasn't arrived yet, unfortunately, but we're waiting. So yeah, just been really busy, but let's get on with the knitting. I am so excited. I'm going to tell you what I'm wearing, first of all. This is my Tip Top Tank by Maker, and I actually talked about this over the summer. I think the last time I talked about it was in the podcast I filmed outside, but no, that might not be. That might not be. Anyway, whatever episode it was that I talked about it being finished, I said it's too big, and I think I'm gonna have to rip it out because I felt too exposed here, like, hello. And it just, a little big around the armpits there. But So multiple people in that episode actually commented that I should use it as a vest. And at first I thought, yeah, I could do that. But I kind of I stuck it in my basket along with my other projects that I've knitted that I need to decide if I'm going to rip them out or what I'm going to do with them. I stuck it in there and I put it away. And then today when I was getting dressed, I thought, I'm going to pull that out and see how it looks. So I love it. It's perfect over a long sleeve t-shirt. I think I have a rainbow. I need to stop this. Let me stop this and change the lighting a bit. Okay, that's better. It is a beautiful sunny day out today, so I was getting some a sunlight beam in through my window. So they say that you should never rewear a fashion trend. So if you've worn it once in your life, don't wear it again. So I grew up as a teenager in the 90s, and I'm noticing this year how many girls, teenage girls, younger girls, are wearing things that I actually wore growing up in the 90s. And it's kind of funny. And I think last year it was the 80s. You know, I noticed that in the 80s. So the one thing though that I am going to rewear that I wore in the past is the vest. I love vests. I actually think they are a classic fashion style. I have multiple vests that I've actually worn throughout the years, and not knitted ones, but I'm loving this. And I think this is really perfect for any time of the year, not summer, but like fall, winter, spring. Honestly, even in the winter, I don't typically walk around my house wearing my thick knitted sweaters because we have a furnace. So our home is heated, and I would honestly get too hot if I did that. But this is wonderful. It's knit out of Drops Bell, which is a plant-based fiber, and so it's actually quite breathable and light. And then just to wear it over a long sleeve t-shirt, it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. I was actually going to wear this shawl as well on top of this outfit until I realized how hot that was going to make me. But I will talk about this shawl because I have it pulled out right now. This is the Dotted Stripes shawl by Lise Bogevald. And this design came out probably 3 or 4 years ago. It's really beautiful and it's super simple to make. And I actually, when I get around to filming my Simple Shawls podcast, and I'm going to do that. I know I said I was going to do that like at the end of the summer. It just didn't happen, and that's how things go with me. But when I get around to doing that, I'm actually going to include this shawl in that episode because it is beautiful. It is simple to make, and I love this yarn. I have used this yarn for multiple knitted things. I've made sweaters in this yarn. I've made, you know, this shawl in this yarn. This is Drops Air. So it has the core of blown fiber through it. That doesn't really, so it's like a netting and then they blow fiber in it, and it's alpaca and I think wool. I used 3 balls in the black color, and I used just a little bit from the pearl gray color, and I actually have quite a bit of these 2 colors because I've made 2 Drama sweaters in this exact yarn, these colors. But this, look, you can see how drapey it is, and it is a triangular shawl, a symmetrical triangular shawl, which I love. That is my favorite. I don't like asymmetrical shawls. I like triangular shawls, and I like crescent shaped shawls. I'm not a fan of asymmetrical. I've talked about this before. I don't know how to wear them. They feel awkward on me. But this is perfect. Love this shawl. So soft. This Drops Air is so soft. And I know I've talked about this before, but just in case this is the first episode of mine you're watching, my daughter is extremely sensitive to itchy wool, like extremely sensitive. And I actually knit her Drama sweater in this yarn, and it doesn't bother her at all. So keep that in mind if you're looking to knit something like a garment or something that's going to be around a neck for someone who is sensitive to the itchy factor of wool. This particular yarn is amazing. So yes, I will link everything down below in my show notes so that you guys can easily find the things that I'm talking about. Now, the next thing I want to show you is actually something I no longer have. This is called the sumac bonnet. It is by Weaving Wonder. I'm not familiar with this designer. That is the handle, Instagram handle on online. And then I think I just did a Ravelry search to find baby bonnets. And this one happened to be free, which was a plus. So this bonnet was super easy. It was just knit as one piece, and it used decreases to shape like the portion that goes down the back of the head. And then it had a garter ridge along it. It was super cute. The only thing I changed, I'm kind of, it's so funny because I guess because I've been knitting so long, if I find something in a pattern that's a mistake, I'll fix it and then I'll forget about it. And I think there may have been something that was written wrongly and it was super obvious, so I just changed it. And I'm thinking it was this pattern and not another one. But if you decide to knit this bonnet, just keep that in mind. If there's something that makes you go, is that right? It's probably a mistake, and just go with your gut and do what you think you need to do. Because I'm pretty sure it was this pattern. I would pull it up, but honestly, I don't remember. I knit this bonnet a couple of weeks ago, and I've said before, I'm horrible with keeping project notes. Okay, so I knit this in Knit Picks City Tweed DK in the kitten colorway, and it didn't even take a full ball. So it was a really nice project. It was very quick. I think I knit the actual bonnet in one evening, and then I finished off the ties the next morning. The pattern is actually written to just cut yarn and braid it for the ties, but I like an I-cord tie, so that's what I did. And that's super easy. You can Google how to do an I-cord, like an I-cord cord, and you will find videos. It's a really easy process, and I think it just looks so much nicer, so much more finished. So I did that. I knitted 2 I-cord strands, and then I just wove them in to the ends of the bonnet. And I took them to my friend, and it fit her daughter beautifully with a little bit of room to grow. And because it is wool, I told her you can block it. And she knows, like, she's not a knitter, but she's one of those people that I know I can knit something for and use hand wash yarn, and she will take care of it. So she's one of those very knit-worthy people. But it fit her daughter wonderfully. She looked adorable in it. I did take a picture, but I'm not going to include it here because, you know, privacy. But yeah, I was really happy to give that to her. So that was my only finished object. I have been putting off this podcast because I have not had any finished objects. Like, I've just been working on various things, and I've been doing lots of things around the house that aren't even knitting related. I like got this cleaning bug. It happened when I started cleaning out my old craft room, and then it just went into the rest of my life and the rest of the areas of our house. So I haven't been doing, I've been doing a lot of knitting, but I haven't been working to the point where I'm completing any projects. Okay, so I want to show you now what I'm working on, my biggest project that I'm working on. I'm basically doing this shawl and then 3 pairs of socks. This is the Boho Chic Mosaic Shawl. And as the title says, it is mosaic knitting, which is really a fun way. I love to knit Fair Isle or stranded color work. I really find that very relaxing, very addictive. But if you're not, first of all, just try it. If you're scared to try stranded color work, just try it, because you're not going to know until you try it. It's not as intimidating as it seems. Second of all, if you think, well, I don't know that I'm ready for that, then try mosaic knitting. There's actually quite a few wonderful mosaic patterns out right now, and actually I'm going to be talking about one that I'm planning on casting on real soon here towards the end of the podcast. But this was a kit that I bought. Do you guys remember Craftsy? I don't even know if they're still around. And if they are, I think they're just like a teaching platform, a video platform. But they used to sell yarn and kits and fabric and other things like that. In fact, I think that's how they originally started. And so when that was around, which was a long time ago, so that tells you how long I've had this yarn. I bought this kit, and it's been sitting on my shelves for a while. And I started it last week, and I've been flying through it. So let me show you what I have so far. Also, I'm knitting this in, got my tags here, Cloudborn Fibers Highland Worsted. And this is 100% fine Highland wool. It's a worsted weight yarn. So it is non-superwash, which I like. I am finding that I like superwash yarn for socks, because then I don't have to hand wash them. I like superwash for gift giving, for various things. Superwash is awesome. It takes colors really well when it's dyed, but I enjoy the process of knitting with non-superwash yarns way more than superwash. So let me show you what I have so far. Can you hear my dog breathing in the background? Okay, so this is all done. Like this here is all done by just slipping stitches. And that's basically what mosaic knitting is. You're slipping stitches. You're using one color on a row. Oh, don't want to drop stitches. You're using one color per row, and you're just slipping stitches. This yarn is very, you know what I think this yarn would be awesome for? I mean, it's awesome for this project, but I also think it would be awesome for cables, because it is so like round. It's so rounded. So this is my main color. And this is, I believe, yeah, this is called Oatmeal Heather. And then these are the other two brown colors I'm using in contrast. One of them is Shayla Heather, and the other one is Stone Heather. And I'm not sure which is which. I don't even know that you can you get Cloudborn anymore? You might be able to on like webs or something. I'll have to look and see when I'm writing up the show notes for this episode. I'll look and see if I can find this yarn anywhere, and so I can link it for you. And then this beautiful red color is just called Burgundy, but I don't find this to be burgundy at all. This is super, super cheery Christmas red. So these are my 4 colors. Now, when I have a pattern that gives me both a chart and written instructions, I almost always read the chart. However, I cannot show you the chart because, you know, this is a paid for pattern, and I'm pretty sure you can still buy this pattern independent of, because it came as a kit, but I'm pretty sure you can just buy it on Ravelry. I had a really hard time at first deciphering the chart because it didn't give me a key, which is so strange. Maybe I've just always lucked out. Maybe I've always lucked out. I don't know. I feel like every pattern that I've knit from that's had a chart has always given a key with what each symbol on the chart means, but this one did not. So I had to just read the written instructions for a while. Basically, there's 3 charts for this shawl. And I know this is sounding complicated, but it's not, okay? And honestly, for the chart A, I knitted from the instructions, the written instructions for the majority of it. And then once I caught on to it, I was able to use the chart a bit. And now I'm on chart B. And honestly, I'm using a combination of the chart and the written instructions, but this isn't a complicated pattern in my opinion, especially if you use the written instructions. The written instructions are very clear. The reason I typically like charts is because in my mind, it's less letters and stuff to keep track of. I just look at the chart. I take it line by line. Where when I read written instructions, there's just so many words that I sometimes get lost in where I am. So that's why I prefer charts. But in this case of this pattern, I've used the written instructions more. And honestly, once you get started in it, it's kind of intuitive and you can read your knitting. Do you know what I mean by that? Like you can look at the row below and see what you did and kind of read it. So that keeps you on track as well. So this is a top-down triangular shawl. So I started up here at the top, and then you work your way down. And, you know, you're doing increases on the ends and down the center spine. And, I don't know. I think mosaic knitting is really good for, like I said, people who are intimidated by color work. You don't really have the floats so much to worry about. If you look at the back of my work, I mean, you can see that I do have, I think down in this section, yeah, like right here, you have to, you know, you don't want to pull your knitting tight when you're doing like this section here. But it's much more forgiving than stranded color work as far as floats and tension. Yeah, so that makes it less intimidating as well. This is a very springy, lovely yarn. I feel like it's probably pretty affordable. This kit was actually, back when I bought it, the reason I bought it, I think Craftsy was having a sale, and so it was a super good price, and I also really, really loved. I'm going to show you the picture of it again. I really, really love the colors and just like the patterning of the mosaic knitting that it made. And then of course the cute little tassels. So yes. So that's my big project right now. And honestly, I just started this last week. So as you can see, I feel like I've gotten quite a bit done. And I've mostly been working on this. I've been knitting on my socks a little bit as well. But most of my knitting time... Oh, I just dropped stitches. Okay. That's because my cable's getting too short. But it's the longest cable I have. Things are going to start scrunching up. All right, I'm going to have to fix that after I'm done filming. Okay, so yes, that is it for that one. That is my big project, the one that I'm devoting most of my time to right now. So let me get that out of the way. And now I'm going to show you the socks I'm working on. Oh, I want to show you these earrings. This was a splurge for me. Well, not really a splurge. These are handmade. Can you see their little acorns? I bought this from an Etsy shop that's on, or that's based out of the UK. And I can't remember their name off the top of my head, but I'll link them below. And this was actually the shorter pair. They had a longer pair as well. But I haven't really been purchasing yarn lately, and I just absolutely fell in love with these. I feel like they're so cute and whimsical. And so I treated myself back in September. I think it took like a week for them to come from wherever the shop is in the UK to the United States. So I'll link those down below in case you're interested. I think I paid $26 for these, which I feel like is really reasonable for a pair of handmade earrings. Really reasonable. Okay, so now real quick, I'm just going to go over these couple of pairs of socks because they're socks, and I think I've talked about all of these in past episodes, and then I want to move on to my knitting plans because I've got a lot of them. And yeah, so okay, stay on track, Amber. Where did I put? I just pulled up. Oh, I didn't even finish pulling the bag. Got distracted by my acorn earrings. Okay, so these socks are, I showed them to you last time. These are the September Woods socks by Olivia of This Handmade Life. Okay, so I have one sock completed, and I thought I was going crazy, but now I'm wondering if I'm going crazy. Yeah, so I didn't catch it until the second sock, which I'm past the heel, and I'm starting to work on the gusset decreases on my second one. But when I knit the second one and I went from the cuff down into the actual leg portion of the sock, I was like, my twisted ribs are not lining up. She has you start with a purl and then a knit. Usually you start with knits and then purl. And I'm wondering if it's not a mistake, and I keep meaning to contact her. Are you cozy, Mitty? My dog's over there in the corner. I keep meaning to message Olivia because I feel like this should line up. And I was on Ravelry looking, and other people's are lining up, and I'm like, what the heck? I'm going crazy. And so I looked at this, and I was like going through the pattern over and over again in my head, this transitional portion right here. And I really think that it should be knit one and then purl one. And I think the pattern might have a mistake in it. It was driving me crazy because it was, I mean, this is fine. They're gonna be on my feet. I'm not gonna pay any attention to that. But I was looking at it and thinking, oh, that would look so much nicer if the ribbing just went right in. See how it's like broken? If it would have just went right in, like this was moved over. And it would have been corrected if I would have started with a knit and then a purl. So keep that in mind if you knit this. And I really should reach out to Olivia. I feel like she would want to know that. She's a very sweet woman. I love Olivia. I have so many of her bags. So, yeah, just keep that in mind, because I was confused by that. But even still, it's a beautiful sock, and I put it on the sock blocker so you can see the pattern a little bit better. But just the leaf motif is beautiful, and these have not been blocked yet. I don't block socks. I probably won't block these socks. Who am I kidding? I just put them right on my feet. If I were giving them as gifts, I would block them, but if I'm just keeping socks for myself. Actually, if I give socks as a gift, unless they would have lace in them, I wouldn't be blocking them. But these are a pair of socks that would benefit from some blocking. This is Knit Picks Stroll Tweed in the Persimmon Heather. Perfect. This color is perfect. And I said this in my last podcast, but I love tweed. And I love this color. I need a vest. I need a vest in this color with the tweed. So yeah, that's where I'm coming along. One sock's done. Second one is getting there. This is the longest part here, you know, doing the lace. The lace isn't hard, you just have to pay attention. So now this is just a matter of the ribbing on the top of the foot and then, you know, smooth selling down to the toe. So I've just been really distracted by the mosaic shawl that I've been knitting, that I haven't really been picking these up. And these are not the socks that I've been carrying around with me in my purse. I'm going to show you those next. So yes, I'll link this pattern down below. And the next pair of socks that I've been carrying around in my purse is in this bag. Drink coffee, knit faster, Miss Babs. I got this. I purchased this little bag. I thought it was cute and funny. I purchased this when I got the yarn kit for my Woodland Journey shawl, which I knit over the winter, I think. And I already podcasted about that a while ago. Okay, so these socks are going into my box of socks for my son who started college in the fall. I've talked about this before. I'm basically seeing how many socks I can knit for him between, well, I started it back in the spring. It was supposed to be, I was going to give him a box of socks when he went to college, but that didn't happen. So now I'm seeing how many I can knit between, well, before Christmas. It's not going real well, but whatever. I think this is my third pair. If I complete these, I'll have 3 pairs so far. That's still going to be a really nice gift. He's very knit-worthy. This is my son, Ian. He loves the socks. I make them. He loves to wear hand-knit socks. So I have one done. And this yarn is Super Garn Active. I like it a lot. It's a very sturdy yarn. I'll put the color down below, but I like this color scheme, and I was trying to match these a little bit, and I didn't do a good job. I wanted the stripes to be on the same place, and I thought I was gonna kill it, because look at the top stripes. Yeah, and then this bugger here matches this one, so I totally messed that up. I thought I would have just a little bit of green here, but no, I have the whole one of these stripes, so they're not going to be matched, but it's okay. It'll be fine. But I like this yarn because it is fingering weight, but it's a pretty round, springy yarn, and it's super sturdy. Like, it just makes a nice pair of woolly socks. So yes, that's just I cast on 64 stitches on a size US 0. And my son, Ian, has, I think, size 9.5. He wears a size 9.5 shoes, so he doesn't have real big feet. So it's not like I'm knitting for somebody with like a size 12 shoe, you know. So knitting him socks is not a big deal. And my husband is the same size. Sergey is the only one that is a bigger size, and I think he's a 12 actually. So yeah, so that's that. And then I have one more pair of socks real quick. I'm just going to show you because they're not that exciting. This is an Olivia, this Handmade Life. This is one of her bags that she had for sale last winter. I love it. And this is another just plain vanilla sock. I was going to make these for my son Ian too, but my husband is really liking these. He's commented several times how much he liked them. And this is Knit Picks Hawthorne Fingering in the colorway Elliot. These skeins only have 375 yards. Okay, so I did a sock here, and then this is how much I had left. And I started thinking, I wonder if I'm going to have enough, which I'm sure I will. But just to be extra careful, I just put a contrast toe with some other of the Knit Picks Fingering Hawthorne, and I don't know what color this is. I used this for something at some point, but it's like a brown, tonal brown color, so I put that in there. And these are also 64 stitch count. I did a size 1. They seem a bit big on top, which actually will fit my husband better. He has bigger calves than my son Ian, so these will actually work better for him anyway than they would for Ian. So yeah, that is the last thing I've been working on. So basically, these have been in my purse, and I take these and I work on them when I'm waiting places, or even at church. Sometimes I'll knit. And these are another pair that I could do that. I just have to cast on the second sock, so that I'm ready to go on that. Now I want to talk about my future knitting plans, because I have a lot. I have too many. I'm not going to get this all done. I'm not. It's just not going to happen. But when I'm highly caffeinated first thing in the morning, it feels possible. Don't you love that feeling, for those of you that drink coffee or tea that has caffeine in it? I don't drink a lot of caffeine. I can't. My body doesn't tolerate it. But I do have a cup of coffee in the morning, and usually it's 2 shots of espresso, like made as a latte or an Americano. And I'm sitting there drinking my coffee and doing my Bible study, and then I'll, I can just feel, I'm like, oh yes, I have so much energy. I have so much I'm going to get done today. I have so many great plans. And then as the day goes on and you get towards the evening, it's like, maybe I need to reconsider some things. So as of right now, these are my plans. These are my future knitting plans, at least a few of them, because I have lots, but I could only pick a couple, right? Because, yeah. Okay, I am going to knit another Felix, probably a pullover, but I need your help on that one. This is the Felix that I knit last year. I love it. It's a very warm sweater. It is a very warm sweater, but this color is, I love this color. Let's see here. The light's kind of blowing it out. It's a very nice deep teal blue color. And this is Barocco Mercado yarn. And I will post the colorway down below because I don't have it written in my notes, but it's a color number. It doesn't have a name. I got this at my local yarn shop, Yarns by Design in Oakmont. And when I say local, it's still like a 45-minute drive, but it's the closest one I got. So, yeah. I have a little, does anybody else designate the backs of their sweater? I just tied on a little bit of the yarn there, but what I need to do, I think what I want to start doing is just putting a button on the back, because some sweaters, and it depends, I think, on the amount of short row shaping that's used in it. Some you can really tell, oh, this is the front, this is the back, but other ones you cannot. So I think having a button just stitched on there, or even some thread or some yarn, just a couple bumps of yarn stitched in just to designate the back, is a great idea. But I tend to just tie on some yarn. Oh gosh. Anyway, this is, okay, so this is my Felix pullover from last year. I used 4 skeins of the yarn, the Barocco Mercado yarn, and each skein is, oops, this is my next one, 164 yards. So, yes, I used 4 skeins, and I had a whole skein left. And I wish I would have knit it a little bit longer. This actually works really well over dresses, and it works well if I wear a flowy top underneath it, like a pair of jeans with a flowy top and then this on top of that. It works really well, but I don't like to wear this without anything underneath it because it's just a little bit too cropped for me. So if I like raise my hand or something, then my belly shows, and I don't like that. So I think for my next one, if I knit the pullover version again, I think I'm going to knit it a little longer, and I'm going to be using this yarn. And I bought this yarn a while ago too. I actually think I bought this right after I finished this Felix. This Felix I knit in probably a week. It was so fast because it's bulky yarn, and it's just an easy pattern, and it's very enjoyable. But this is a pretty red color, and I will put the color number down below. But this Barocco Mercado is 100% Peruvian Highland wool, and so it is a hand wash. So what you're seeing there on the camera is a little bit more bright than what it really is in real person. It's got a little bit more orange to it in person. Oh, focus on my face. Now this is where I need your advice and your help. If you have knit the Felix, either the pullover or the cardi version, and preferably if you've knit both, which one do you like better? The problem with this is it's so warm. This is a thick sweater. So again, I don't wear this around the house because I get too hot in it. I've worn it quite a bit to church because the church our church is very cold. So it's like perfect to wear to church. If it's like a temperate fall day, I can wear it outside and it's good for that, with maybe a shawl for warmth for my neck. But to wear this indoors, it's a bit warm. So I was thinking I might actually get more use out of a cardigan version of it. And then I was like, well, I already have the pullover version, so maybe I could adapt that and then just steek it. But then I'm like, I've never steeked anything before, and am I gonna mess it up and ruin it? And should I just buy the pattern? But then I don't really like knitting back and forth because of all the purling, and so I don't know what to do. But I'm asking, what do you guys think? If you've knit this sweater before, what do you guys like? So yeah, that is what I'm going to do with this yarn, and I bought this yarn for that purpose. Okay, there's a lot of red now, a lot of red coming up. So another thing that I've had for a long time, and I bought this Brooklyn Tweed shelter when, oh my gosh, I think it was back in 2020 I bought this, and I bought it to make a colorwork sweater. So I also was going to include some other colors in, which I still have, but I decided I don't want to knit that sweater anymore. So I got on Ravelry and I looked up this yarn, which I've never used this yarn before. I looked this up and I refined my search results by looking at sweaters that was made in this shelter yarn. And I noticed that quite a few people made Andrea Mowry's, I think it's Wool and Honey sweater. It's the one that has like the honeycomb pattern across it. And I've actually had that. I've had that pattern in my favorites on Ravelry since she first came out with that pattern. And there were even some people that knit it in this color. This is the Long John's colorway. And I loved the look of it because I've always imagined that pattern knitted in like a yellow or a golden yarn because of the color of honey. And so I always thought, well, if I ever make that sweater, I want to knit it in a gold or amber colored yarn. But then I saw that some people had knitted it in this Long John colorway, and I thought, that looks really, really pretty. And I think that's what I want to do with this. I've heard that that pattern is funny because, you know, it's the way that the honeycomb pattern is made. It's like you have long strands of yarn. And so it's easy to catch that on things. You have to be kind of careful when you're wearing it. That's what I've heard from some people. I don't know if that's true. So if you've knit that pattern, chime in and let me know what you think about it. But I think that's what I'm going to do with this. It was either that or some sort of shawl because I've always wanted to make myself a really pretty red shawl. But I don't know because I also really like the look of that sweater. It's still up in the air. Yeah. First thing I'm going to do is cast on that Felix once I figure out if I'm going to make the pullover or the cardigan. Okay. And my last future plan for my knitting, I'm super excited about. So I'm sure that a lot of you have heard of the Pressed Flowers shawl by Amy Christoffers. And it's beautiful. You know what? I will put a picture in. It's a beautiful shawl, but I wasn't interested. I thought, oh, that's pretty. But I wasn't like, oh, I have to knit that. However, when she released the Pressed Flowers hat, I thought, I need to knit that. That is really beautiful. And I've got the perfect yarn for it. I mean, for me, perfect yarn for me to do it. So that pattern uses a sport weight yarn, and I just so happened to have some sport weight yarn from Barrett Wool Co. in my stash. I actually won this in a giveaway, I think last year. These colors. I think these will look so pretty together. And this is the woolen spun. It's the sport weight. The blue color is Lock, and the yellowish orangish color is called Old Fashioned. So I think these two are going to make a beautiful Pressed Flowers hat. That's actually what I'm going to probably cast on next. As soon as I'm probably actually just going to cast this on once I wind these up. Does anyone else wish that their yarn was, yarn skeins or hanks are beautiful to look at, but this is what slows me down and keeps me from casting on projects right away. The fact that I have to get out my ball winder and my Swift and actually wind it into a cake. Or even just winding it into a ball, like hand winding it. That just, if all of my yarn was already in cakes or balls, I feel like I would probably have so many more projects going, which I guess thinking about it that way, it's probably good that I don't have all them made into cakes and balls, because then I would probably have way too many projects on the go, and then I would be overwhelmed by that. But I find I don't enjoy that process of winding my yarn into cakes. I don't know why. I think I just like just to get to the knitting. Yes, that's definitely true. It's definitely true. So I actually have 2 full skeins of the lock and then a little one. This was a kit for a shawl that was called the My Hope shawl. And I have been trying to find that shawl on Ravelry and I cannot find it. So the pattern didn't come in the kit that I won. I had a code to get the pattern and I can't find the pattern. So basically I've just been letting this yarn hang out until I could find a pattern I wanted to use. So, but I don't really see myself needing all of this yarn for a hat. So I'm thinking a pair of mittens are also going to happen from this yarn. Yes, so I'm really excited. And again, this rustic yarn, I love it. I love rustic yarn. I love knitting with rustic yarn. Okay, so that is pretty much wrapping it up. I do want to mention a couple of podcasts that I have been enjoying. I'm not going to talk about them a lot. I'm just going to mention them, and then I'm going to list them all down below, and you guys can check them out if you so desire. So the first one is It Is a Sarah podcast, and Sarah is the knitter behind that podcast. She is from the Netherlands. She actually does an episode in Dutch as well as English, and I think she just started doing English episodes maybe over the summer or in the spring. I love her episodes. She's just really enjoyable to watch. SUGARFOLK Homemade, Michaela is another one that I really enjoy watching. I feel like she took a little bit of a break, but she's had a couple recent episodes, so go check her out. Songbird SADE Knits, and I think her name is Mercedes. She's from somewhere in Canada. She also took a long break because she recently had a baby. But yeah, like I said, I'm just going to give you the names of the podcasts and then you can go check them out. These are all ones. I'm not going to give you specific things I like about each of them. I'm just saying that, you know, I'm really enjoying these. And then a new podcast is the Margaret's Only Knitting Podcast. And this is actually 2 Margarets, one from Heidi and Lana. So the Margaret from Heidi and Lana, and then Margaret from Meg Roki Knits. She's also a designer. They're both designers. Anyway, they've only put 2 episodes out, but they're really fun to watch. I think their personalities go really great together. And then the last one is one that I just found last week, and I have binge watched all of her episodes except for maybe 2. I think I have 2 left. And that is Leanne of the Nitty Stew. And I think I found out about her from Michaela from SUGARFOLK Handmade. I think that's the podcast that mentioned her. But Leanne is a Canadian flight attendant, which is where stew comes from, not like the kind of stew that you eat. She's a knitter who also happens to be a stewardess on a Canadian airline. And she travels around to various places in Canada and maybe also some in the United States. But every episode I've watched has been filmed in a Canadian city or area. And so she talks about all of her fantastic projects, but she also features little tidbits and video. Like she goes out and explores these cities that she stays in while she's working. And she shares that. And I find that so fascinating. And now I really want to go to Canada. I've always wanted to go to Prince Edward Island and Nova Scotia, which is actually not that incredibly far from Pennsylvania. I mean, when we're in Maine, we're really close, you know what I mean? So, but now I want to explore all these other areas too. So that's another one that I am really enjoying. And yeah, so check those out. I'm just enjoying fall. I'm enjoying the beautiful blue sky and all the color changing leaves, and just reading. I've been doing so much reading. Right now I'm actually reading, I'm reading so many books right now, but here's 2 I'm reading. At Home in Mitford. This is my before bed get me cozy and sleepy read, because it is like a cozy book. And then The 13th Tale by Diane Setterfield is another book that I'm reading right now. And I think this one might be a little bit creepy, if I remember correctly, which I've been reading some murder mystery books this fall, and that's been fun. I don't like creepy, like demonic creepy. That's not my thing. In fact, I started a book called, shoot, what was it called? The Hazelwood, I think. And it's a young adult's book. And I had read that it's a little creepy, but it got too creepy for me. I got halfway through and then I had to stop it and take it back to the library, which was kind of disappointing because my goal is to read 35 books this year and I'm running out of time. But I am up to 31 completed books, so I'll be fine. I'll be fine. But I was like, it kind of bothered me to get halfway through a book and then not finish it. But it was just getting too creepy. Like, it was making me not want to put my dogs out at night when it's dark. I don't want to read books that are going to make me feel that way, you know? So we'll see. This 13th Tale, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Another one that I read that was good was The Night Circus. I thought that one was really good. I read The Guest List. It was okay. And then there was another one I read. I can't remember what it's called. But it was going good until the end. And then I was like, this end is so unrealistic. That's what you get when you read books, right? You never know until you get to the end. Sometimes they're really good endings. Sometimes they're endings that you're like, I wish I wouldn't have read this book. I just realized we never did the giveaway. So we need to do that right now. So let's go ahead and pick that giveaway winner. Okay, here we go. Let's see who the winner is. Select a filter. Let's do... I don't even know what that means. Anything goes. Okay. Allow duplicates? No. And include replies? No, because I reply to a lot of people. So let's go ahead and see. Pick a winner. Here we go. Mountain Pearl. Okay, so Mountain Pearl, you are the winner. So go ahead and contact me with your mailing address and information to the Gmail email address that I'll list down below, and that way I can get your information sent off to Laura. Your package will be coming directly from Laura. And thank you everyone for watching. I hope you're having a fantastic fall here in the Northern Hemisphere, or spring in the Southern Hemisphere. Yay for you guys, just heading into your summer. That's exciting. So thank you guys so much for watching. I had a really great time filming and talking with you guys today. I think it's well, it was the caffeine I had this morning, but it was also, this is like the 5th day of sun. So always makes me feel so much better. So thank you so much for joining along, and I will see you guys next time.